Hello, everybody. I'm glad you're here today. I'm going to bring you this thought I had just a couple of days ago. I was reading James chapter 5, and that's all about the prayer of a righteous person has a lot of power, is one of the points made in that chapter. The prayer of a righteous person has a lot of power. And then it goes on to pray about having the elders come anoint you with oil and pray for healing. And it has a lot of good stuff right there at the end of chapter 5. Anyway, so as I was reading that, it felt as if I heard the Lord say, "Consider my servant Elijah." And so I was like, okay, well, let's go read Mount Carmel. I mean, that's like one of those God moments in the Bible that absolutely is like a rock star moment. I love that story. I love teaching that story when the kids were little in Bible class and stuff. Oh man, that's ripe with illustration. So anyway, go back and read it. Elijah on Mount Carmel, First or Second Kings, somewhere along in there. I can't remember the exact place. Anyway, went back and read it. One of the things that stuck out this time that I read it, that had never stuck in my head or my heart before, was that after the whole gig at Mount Carmel, and God establishes himself, and Elijah says, go kill the prophets of Baal, and everybody's going to kill them prophets that were not godly and not following our God. Elijah went up to the top of Mount Carmel and fell down on his knees, face down, and began to pray. He began to pray for rain, because it hadn't rained for 3 years, because Elijah had prayed for the rain to stop. So clearly a righteous man with powerful prayer, right? So Elijah's face down praying, and he looks up and tells his servant, go look out towards the sea, and then come back and tell me what you see. And the servant came back and said nothing. Elijah did it again and again, 7 times. 7 times Elijah sent his servant to go look out across the sea and come back and report to him, what do you see? The 7th time, when the servant came back, the servant said, I see a cloud the size of a man's fist. Little bitty cloud on the horizon. A little bitty cloud. And at that point, other things happen in the story that's just like phenomenal. Basically, it begins to rain, but there's a whole bunch of other stuff after that that's like, oh my, wow. I mean, Elijah's one of my favorites. Anyway, my point is not that Elijah's one of my favorites, although he may be one of yours too. I don't know. My point is, when we pray, sometimes it takes time for prayer to be answered. Sometimes it takes many prayers to see something give or something take place. I don't know why that is. I don't know why it took Elijah 7 times to pray, but there was a reason for it. The thing about prayer is, one of the things, there are many things about prayer. Clearly, it's a communication process with our Father, with God. Some mosquito. Anyway, it is a communication process where we hear God and we visit with God. We bring him everything. But it's also a faith-growing process. It is also an act of faith. That if I pray, I'm relinquishing my own power to work in life and allowing God's power to come in. And when we don't pray very often, or when we forget to pray, and y'all, I do that too. When we're in situations, sometimes I come home and think, why did I even pray about that? I don't even know why I didn't lift up a prayer at that moment. When we don't, we're robbing God of the chance to intervene, to show his power, to deliver us, to protect us. I mean, it's kind of like our own kids. Look, have you ever seen one of your kids struggle? And you're like, I can fix that. I can help you if you will only ask. If I just butt in, you're going to resist me. You're going to be rebellious towards me. So I'll just wait until it gets so bad that you are going to ask for help. That we're that way with our own kids. So one of the things, my takeaway this week, and y'all know I kind of been struggling with my mom's health and stuff. One of my takeaways was sometimes it takes a lot of prayer. Sometimes it takes years of prayer. I've seen that. Sometimes we don't see the answer to prayer in our lifetime. I know that when I was praying for my daughter's healing, and she died, she had cystic fibrosis. She was not miraculously healed, even though I prayed by her bedside all the time. I don't know why God didn't heal her, but I have faith that God knows why. And in the process of the way that panned out, faith will be established in me and in everyone else involved. In the end, she is perfectly healed right now. I'm just not with her to enjoy that yet. I will be, but not yet. So healing was granted. Mercy was granted because she was suffering so much. When we pray, there's a balance between thinking of God as a magic genie granting our wishes and realizing He's Father. He's the Father. He is God, the creator of everything. And He does things that we may or may not understand. And we have to be willing, with our attitude of submission and humility, to go, I don't understand everything. I'm not God, but I trust you. So however this rolls after this prayer, I have faith that you're the one touching it. And it may be hard, and it may be perceived as God said no to that. Usually when I perceive that God has told me no, it's pretty good. Years later, I can look back and go, yeah, that was a good answer. That was the best answer. I was just too self-absorbed to realize it at the time. Usually that's how it rolls. Even Elijah, who is a giant in the Bible, prayed 7 times for that rain to start. He did not quit. And y'all, I have some other stories to tell you about parents who have prayed for their lost children for years, and their children are coming back now to the faith, to Christ. So continue to pray. Don't grow weary. Keep going. Endure. He hears us, I promise. But there's a lot of stories involved. It's not just you. There may be other people involved in your situation that you have no idea about, that God has to get to where He wants them. Prayer is essential. It's a weapon. It's a communication. It's an act of faith. It's so many things, y'all. Keep praying and keep knowing Father hears you. He hears you. Just hang on. And know whatever happens in this life, in the next life, everything will be perfect. That's all I have. This is Gina Lima Charlie. I'm out.